Welcome to Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, first week of December 2024. You know what the first week means, Tracy?
Let me think. We have some stats.
We have some stats, of course. Of course, it's Tego and Tracy Venturi, as always, with the Venturi Realty Group, a real broker here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know we did, Tracy.
Yeah, it's always a great holiday.
Yeah.
We tend to get together with a lot of good friends and family and, like everybody, eat too much.
Yes, exactly.
But we did
Exactly.
do some exercise too, so
We
that
a
was good.
little bit. Yep.
Yeah.
And obviously we talk about real estate and homes and, obviously Thanksgiving and the holidays is a big time of year for having a home and being get together. So, it's one of the things that makes having a home great.
I look forward to the next couple of weeks because it reminds me to get together with people that we don't do it often enough, and it's like that time of year where we have our traditions and we have people we get together with, and I'm excited for that. Plus some really great holiday get-togethers from different businesses and things that we network with, and
Yep.
just a great time. Although it might mean that I need to go shopping because, some of those events, I might need a new outfit or a new dress or
Well, we did
something.
have Black Friday and then Cyber Monday. And you know what I discovered on Cyber Monday? I posted this, but you probably saw that was on Cyber Monday. It's like the best day of the year to clean up the email inbox of all the people that send you, promos that you don't necessarily want to subscribe to any longer.
You mean to unsubscribe?
To
To
unsubscribe. Exactly.
unsubscribe.
Because they're all in one place at the same day.
You said clean up your inbox, but it's unsubscribing
Yeah.
from your
Yeah.
inbox because 'cause they're all there.
Yes, exactly. All
Yeah.
right, Tracy. National price home price forecast. I've got the latest data just came out this week. I've got the November sales data for the Albuquerque area. We're going to talk about build to rent because there's more news on that and what that is. And the question of the week is what is title insurance and what's title insurance all about and what is escrow versus title? So we'll get into that. Where do we want to start?
I wanna start with a testimonial that came in. Somebody posted on our Google page. I know that wasn't on your list, but, we get a lot of people who we've worked with, and then they get online and they let everybody know about their experience, and we had one this week. We actually had 2 this week for Gabe Salazar on our team. He's an awesome realtor that helps both buyers and sellers. This came in from a client named Justin. Their name is on Google. They put it out there, Justin Hicks, and said, "It was a pleasure to work with Gabriel Salazar at Venturi Realty Group when looking for a new home. We moved from Oklahoma to New Mexico and received a very high standard of professionalism and care. Gabe went far above and beyond expectations to accommodate us when looking at different possible homes. He took plenty of time to listen and consider our needs, but also our wants when making such a long move. We were never physically present, but he made sure we got the best possible look and feel for each residence we considered, be that through video, FaceTime, multiple questions, and conversations. Fortunately, he found the home that fit the bill for us. My wife and I were very pleased with the services Gabe and his team provided. It was seamless and easy to purchase our new home. We have been settling in for about 2 months now and are very happy. Thank you."
Wow.
I know it was long, but how wonderful of them to take the time to really put thought into it and detail into it, because sometimes you get a five-star review and they don't even make a comment, but, very specific. And then we had another one from Gabe. I won't read it, but another one, same thing, people just raving. And that was when he was helping a home seller. And he spent a lot of time helping them get their house ready to be merchandised, to
Right.
show in its best light possible. He found some different contractor type people, support to help these folks get their house in tip-top shape. And when they went to market, the house looked great. It net top dollar with a good offer within a really short time frame, and they took the time to let the world know. And so we really appreciate that. So congrats, Gabe. And, that's part of Venturi Realty Group and what we do. There's a whole team behind Gabe that helped him look good. And I'm sure that Justin Hicks, who left that first testimonial, experienced that.
Yeah. Well, that's heartwarming because
Yeah.
sometimes, business owners, you guys, anybody that's a business owner, they know sometimes all you hear is the bad and, but it's great to hear that. And we sure appreciate it. And
Yeah.
anybody that had, especially, if you're working with a small business owner, giving those testimonials on different sites like Google or Yelp or, some of these others is a big deal to really help boost their signal again, especially the small businesses that need every little bit they can. And sometimes you'll get a bad review or a bad testimonial just because something went sideways. Things just happen sometimes. And people are really quick to go and give a bad review and not maybe quite as quick to give a good one, even though the person that provided the service deserves it. So, I'm talking to myself as well because I don't do that enough.
Because, I always leave great testimonials or reviews for companies. I make it a habit to do that, and I never leave a bad review unless I've at least experienced a company more than one time, 2 times, 3 times, but normally I don't have time to do a bad review, right?
Well, and it just,
Or it
yeah,
might
yeah,
still be a good review with a little bit of, what could have been better,
right.
right? But
Constructive.
anyway,
Yeah.
we really appreciate that, and we know that it takes time for clients to do that. It doesn't it had to be an exceptional thing, right? People just don't say, "I'm gonna get online and talk about Gabe," right? He went above and beyond, and he deserved it. So,
I am going to jump
are we
over.
gonna go over to stats,
Yeah,
Tico?
we are going to go to steps. I need to
I know,
do a
it's the beginning of the
little
month towards
screen share action here. So sorry, bear with me here. I'm doing a screen share. This is so if you're on Facebook or YouTube watching this and not just listening, I've got the graphics up here so you can see it. So first off, I wanted to talk about the U.S. home price forecast, and this is a survey that goes out. I love this one because it goes out to about 100 different economists that are in the housing world talking about, giving their forecast for what's going to go on with home prices. It's not just a one person, it's a broad range. And I went through the list and a lot of them are very, housing specific people, chief economist at Windermere Real Estate and, chief economist or Mike Simonson, Altos Research, which they have really, really deep data on housing. But then some of it's like Moody's Analytics, right? Which are more of these kind of big houses that aren't necessarily real estate specific. So it's a broad range, which is great. And what they do is they say, okay, what do the most optimistic say and what do the most pessimistic say? And so they game out these scenarios. And so for next year, the kind of the middle range, people are saying 3.6% for appreciation in 2025.
home price appreciation.
Correct, correct. But it's moderate appreciation, but what they're saying is, over the next 5 years, somewhere around 27% home price appreciation. That's
Over 5 years.
over 5 years. That's the mean, the middle. The most pessimistic of the survey are saying 14% over 5 years. The most optimistic are saying 40% over 5 years.
So when somebody says they think it's a bad time to buy a house,
I it
that this would kinda help them go, "Wait, all these really smart brains think that over 5 years, on average, all of the lows and highs, they think that 5 years from now, home prices will be up 27%."
Correct, correct. And I believe that. That's actually pretty moderate growth. That's 3-4% per year, somewhere in that range. It's not a huge move. And that seems to be about where we are. And this is national. We're talking about national numbers. There's nobody that does. I'm probably the closest person, closest thing to doing, local Albuquerque forecasts. And but nobody really does it. But I would say we're probably in that same range. Albuquerque usually trends along with the national averages because we're just much more steady. So when you look at national averages,
You've got the highs and
you got the
lows
highs
and
and the lows, right? You've got what's happening in Florida right now, which is very different than what's happening in Detroit, right? So Detroit's a booming market right now. Florida's having all kinds of problems. So it, it averages out. And in Albuquerque and New Mexico tends to be kind of that slow and steady, or I don't even say slow, but steady appreciation. So I think we're going to be in that range as well over the next few years.
very interesting. So what's happening local? Do you have stats for that? I'm
Do I
sure you do. It's the
do I have
beginning of the month.
stats for that? I did a video. If anybody wants to take a deep dive into the November housing market data, you can find it on our YouTube. I put it on my own personal Facebook as well, where I look at all the data, walk through all the numbers. A couple things jumped out at me, Tracy. Just a few things. Closed sales pretty much equal with last year. Not a whole lot of change. There are 716 homes that close in November. So people are still moving. It's not as busy as it's been. It's a little bit more than last year. but there's still activity. The number of homes for sale has increased. It's up about 19% from last November. Now we're at about 1,870 homes on the market. That's a snapshot in time, though. It's like the last day of the month, right? Because the number of homes active is always changing hour to hour, really. But it's a snapshot in time, and that's up a little bit from last year. But if you go back to 2019 November, we're still about 25% less
Right.
than that year. I'm going to jump number of homes under contract up about 18% from last year. So there is activity. There were 755 homes that went under contract in November. So again, there's activity.
Which is 120 more than last year in
Right.
November. So busier home searchers, more buyers in the market.
More buyers in the market for sure. The number of new listings, and this is something now we've been talking about for a few years, is kind of sluggish. People just aren't listing their homes as often. We're pretty equal with the last couple of years. There were 809 homes that came on the market, which is low. Now we're only looking at a 3-year chart that we have up right now, but that's low. People are staying put. That whole lock-in effect that we've talked about is still in effect. People aren't moving as often that have those great mortgage rates and, don't want to go from a 3.5 to a 6.5
Right.
mortgage. Month supply it's interesting when we look at month supply right now, it's saying 2.3 months supply, which would, in any other time in history, that would be considered a very, very strong seller's market.
Not many houses to choose from.
Right. It means the supply demand
Things are
ratios are
selling.
very low.
Yeah.
And that is true. However, the thing that's interesting, and the one chart that really jumped out at me this month was days on market. A lot of people want to know, how long does it take for my home to sell? How long is it going to take? And that's one of the most common questions a home seller has is, okay, how long will it take when I
Right.
go in the market? Now, these are averages. So I want to make that perfectly clear. Average is average. Of all the homes that closed in November, they were on average 38 days on market.
Before they got an accepted offer
Right. From the time it went active.
on the market
Yep.
to accepted offer, 38 days. So just over a month.
That doesn't include the escrow period or the
Right.
contract to close period, which could be another, say,
30 to 60 days.
yeah, 40 to, 40, I think about 45 days on average is what we see. So, take that into account when you're thinking about selling your home. You got to give yourself some time. And that is up quite a bit. I mean, that's up 40, it's up to, let's see, last year it was 27 days average. This year it's 38 days. So that's a 40% increase from a year ago. And Tracy, I've got this broken down by price range here. You can see not a whole lot different across price ranges. The other thing on days on market is median days, just a little bit different way to look at it. So that's how long does it take half the homes to sell versus longer. So
Yeah, and it's only 22 days on average or on median
yeah,
because some houses are selling very, very quickly,
right.
right? Still.
So 22 days, half of them sold within, let's say 3 weeks, and half of them are taking longer than that. But these are only the homes that actually sold and closed in November. We're not talking about the homes that are still on the market that haven't sold. So that's a different stat altogether. So that's a quick breakdown. Just the last thing I want to talk about is pricing, because there's so many different ways to slice and dice, price change. And I like to look at price per square foot. Price per square foot is up about 2.5, well, basically 3% from a year ago. And so $211 is the median price per square foot for all the homes that sold. It's up 3%. But if we look at actual median price, it's up about 4%. It's now $360,000. If we look at average price, it's up 7% from last November. So 414,000. So it's be careful on what you're looking at when you look at these trends in pricing. And I will say what I'm seeing right now is we are somewhere in a 3 or 4% home price appreciation in a year over year right now is kind of where we're at.
Yep.
With all that. Okay.
Good stuff. Good charts.
Tracy, what is title insurance?
Oh my gosh. Title insurance?
Title insurance. So it's interesting because, people that haven't sold or purchased a home before, it's like all of a sudden it's like this title insurance. What is title insurance?
So it's interesting because we have title and escrow, right? So a lot of times it's what's the difference between title and escrow? Title insurance is what protects buyers and lenders from financial losses due to problems with the property's title, like liens, disputes, errors in public records. So there's a policy that's issued to protect the buyer's ownership in that property, right? It's a insurance that you pay for at closing on a new property that lasts as long as you own the
Well,
property.
just to you said new. It's not just new. It's all any ownership transfer.
Any ownership. It's a one-time payment made at closing and lasts as long as you own the property or until the loan is repaid.
So
A title search ensures the property has clear title before you purchase it.
so if you're
And
paying cash, you don't necessarily have to get title insurance.
I've never seen that say that before.
It, the answer is that is true.
You don't
So
have to, but lenders require it for a reason.
correct. You
Right.
would be a fool not to get title insurance on a property.
Right. Insurance provides peace of mind and secures your investment. So, what's the difference between title and escrow? You're going to ask me, right?
What's the difference between title and escrow, Tracy?
It's their roles in the real estate transaction. So, title refers to the legal ownership of a property. A title company ensures the property has clear title, free of liens and ownership disputes, and it provides insurance to protect buyers and lenders from title related issues.
So let's talk about that. So they actually do a search, right? And they look and see, confirm that ownership is all in order,
They
correct?
look back as far as records. I mean, it used to be like these paper files in the basement of title companies, right? And they'd go and they'd look and they'd make sure every time that property sold or the ownership name changed that it was all done properly, that they could say, yep, clearly there's no one else that can say that house is mine, right? And they're ensuring that. Escrow is a neutral third party service that manages the transaction process. They hold funds, they work documents, and they do all the contract details until the conditions of the sale are met. And they ensure both buyer and seller fulfill their obligations before closing. So when we go to close on a property, we go meet with an escrow officer, right? Not a title rep. The title person's already done all that background stuff, right?
Well, and it gets mushed up in New Mexico because in some states you have somebody that just does escrow that handles the paperwork and all that stuff, and then you have the title, which is separate. In New Mexico, the escrow person or the escrow officer and the title agent, we kind of intertwine them as the same. And it is in New Mexico, it's the same person. So when we have a
Typically.
property that goes under contract, goes pending, we engage a title. Well, we start working with the title person as soon as we list a property, just to
To
get
get things in line.
cleared up. But that it's the same person is what my point is.
And just to clarify, it's not really the same person. It's the same company, sort of, but it's not the escrow person. There's a person at that company that's doing the vault search, the title search for the escrow company to put it all together. So in short, title company ensures ownership is clear, while escrow handles the safe transfer of money and documents. Both work together to complete the real estate transaction securely.
Got it.
Make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's title and escrow. And obviously you can go much deeper in that as well. And there's a lot of little things, but that's, give you the short and sweet version
The
of
quick.
that. All right.
Think we have
Interesting news story out of Santa Fe regarding
Yeah.
real estate. And I
So
wanted to hit on that because it's something new to Santa Fe, but not necessarily, well, it's not new to Albuquerque. It's definitely not
it's
new nationwide.
sort of new to Albuquerque, but not new. But, our listeners know we also cover Santa Fe. We have realtors that work Santa Fe, so we can help you there if you're looking in that area. So tell us, what is it, Tego? What's the news?
Well, built to rent, there is a piece of property that went under contract recently, and it's a company that is going to do some build to rent single family homes. So, build to rent single family homes is where a whole community gets built out. It's usually one piece of property, so you don't subdivide each property or
You mean the
each
land?
each individual house. It's all one thing, and it's basically It's kind of like an apartment building without the apartment building. It's single family homes instead, and they call it build to rent. And it's common around the country, very common in markets like Las Vegas, Atlanta, Phoenix, some of those other markets, Austin. Not sure about East Coast so much, but
But it's very common, but in the more recent past. It's not something that 10 years ago we'd heard of.
right. So I saw a stat in 2005. It was like 1% of all the homes that were being built, single family homes,
We're
were
being built
built
for rent.
for build to rent. Today, it's closer to 10%. Or
Wow.
and that was 2023 actually was the stat. So it is a phenomenon that's happening, and it's, there's a whole bigger, deeper conversation about, that everybody's just going to become a nation of renters and not owners. And, we're not going to go there. I'd love to have that conversation with somebody that would like to, but that's a whole nother thing. But it is happening, here in Albuquerque. I believe there's about 800, I'm going to say 800 doors, 800 properties that are in the pipeline. There's a community being built on West Side Drive over by Russ Medical in Rio Rancho that is a build to rent community, and that's starting to come off the ground, and you're seeing the houses being framed there right now. That's going along. There's a small one in the North Valley. There's a big one out on the west side by Volcano Vista.
Yeah.
Yeah, Volcano Vista by kind of like uh,
Ventana Ranch,
Ventana Ranch
the
area. Yeah,
trails.
the trails area. Yep.
Yeah.
That one's big, 350 properties on that one. So it's a phenomenon that's happening, and it's happening all around the country. And we're just going to see more and more of that because we have shortage of houses, and housing units is
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yep. So let's talk about a home.
Okay.
Let me just spotlight 118 Calle Olas Altos Northeast in the 87109 neighborhood. It's a townhouse. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-story with a 2-car garage for $245,000. This is a complex of townhomes that are together and they share like a community pool and things. So it does have a homeowners association of around 280 a month, but it does take care of a lot of things that you would pay for anyway. This one has common areas, a community pool, and it covers some of the utilities. So if you're interested, I mean, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage in the Northeast, for 245, call us right away. This property also qualifies for an FHA VA cash conventional, so it could qualify for a down payment assistance program from a first time buyer. So a great opportunity for somebody to become a homeowner. So just think about who you might know that at 245 could use a 3-bedroom house to start building their family legacy. And well, that would be awesome. So it's kind of near Wyoming and Academy, that particular property, sort of near Whole Foods and all of that in the Northeast. So
Speaking of prices, lower priced homes, I was looking at some data, just trying to, we know affordability has been a challenge. It's, home prices have gone up again, 50% in the last few years, or, last 4 or 5 years. Interest rates are at the highest we've seen in a long time, although they have come down recently. Rates they're not at, not where they were, right? They're a little bit lower, and they're in that kind of mid
I
to high six range these days.
I think it's the new norm, and that's part of, I think, why we're seeing more buyers in the market. I think people are starting to be adjusted that this is what interest rates are. When you showed that stat earlier of another 120 homes sold in November than November last year, I think buyers are saying, okay, I need to get in the market. House prices are continuing to go up. Interest rates are staying steady.
And
So,
there's no sign that home prices are going to tank or,
right.
or do, make any major downward shift. And I will say there's nothing in the pipeline that indicates that for sure.
So I hijacked your conversation,
No,
but
no, no, that's fine. But what I did is I went back and I looked at in 2020, 71% of the homes that sold that year were $300,000 or less. In 2024, as of, in the past year, as of today, only 30% of those homes were $300,000 or less.
complete opposite.
Complete opposite.
70-30 to 30-70.
Exactly. no surprise. Like I said, home prices have moved up, 50% or about 45% in that same time period. And and builders can't build homes under 300. I
So
think I looked at the stat and I said, how many homes that were new construction sold for under $300,000 in the Albuquerque area in the last year? And there was one.
So I was going to say, I happen to know in Los Lunas, there's a new construction that's, a smaller home under 300 right now.
Well, there you go.
And, you know, it's
And there probably were more new construction. I was looking at what's in the MLS because some new construction we never hit the MLS, so we didn't
right,
know. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yep.
So that was
And the one that I know of is a 3-bedroom,
really.
just under 300 new. And, this morning I was watching the news and they always show the drive time.
Mhm.
It says from Paseo to the Big I or from Coors to
Oh, yeah, it
the Big
was.
I.
Yeah.
This morning, it was a busy morning, but it said from Los Lunas to the Big I, 16 minutes.
Well,
And I thought that's from the freeway.
16 from what? From the Big Eye
From
to Los Lunas?
Big I, it said from Los Lunas to the Big I,
Okay, got
which
it.
would be the direction in
Yeah,
the morning of the
okay.
traffic. It said 16 minutes.
Interesting.
And I thought, it just depends on how far you need to go to get to the freeway and how far you need to go once you get off the
Well, and
freeway.
we're recording this on Friday, the 6th to place Saturday, but yeah, it was a mess going
Paseo
across the
was
river.
closed
Yeah,
this
Paseo
morning.
was
Yeah.
closed this morning. It was, our
Yeah.
office is down here on Alameda. Just, one question that came up, and this goes back to we were talking about title and escrow. Tracy, what happens from once you go under contract and you're a buyer? What happens? What do you do? Like, what happens during that period?
Really? You want to go over that right now?
Yes.
But how much time do we have left? So what happens as realtors, we take that contract, we make sure we get it to the lender, to the title company so they can start their part. On our end, we have transaction coordinators that help our sales associates with all of those details. So they get those contracts out, they make sure to dot I's and cross T's. They get information out about inspections and deadlines and let the buyer know here's kind of what the next steps are going to be. So we are helping facilitate finding different providers to do inspections, getting them within the timelines, talking to our clients about making sure they're doing their lending. Anything the lender asks for is urgent. It was like,
Yes.
don't delay. They ask you for something, they probably needed it yesterday. All that paperwork and stuff that they often need or verifications of them. So behind the scenes, we're putting everything together, just like how title and escrow work together, where title is doing the search on the property itself and escrow is pulling it all together. We're in the background pulling it all together too with title and escrow and the lender and with the buyer to make sure that everything's ready by the time they're ready to close on that property.
Yeah, and in our standard New Mexico purchase agreements, contracts, there's a lot of different dates and deadlines that have to be tracked as well. Some of them are much more critical than others, like the home inspection objection deadline, where the buyer gets the option to say, "Hey, I'd like you to fix this, or I'd like a credit for this, or I'm good with everything the way it is." But hitting that deadline is critical because if you miss it, you could lose the option to ask for repairs from a home seller. So there's a lot of dates and deadlines, but some of them are way more critical than others through the process. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts going on during that. And that was really good because I caught you totally off guard
You
on,
did.
on that question.
I was like, okay, it's got to be high level here, but basically we're kind of what's the middle of a wheel? The spokes? No, the hub.
The hub.
We're the hub.
There you go. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. That works. That works.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
Okay.
I hope everybody again had a great Thanksgiving, and we're fall in New Mexico. It's crisp nights and warm sun
It's
days,
been
and
great.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's awesome. So, thanks for listening. As always, if you have any questions about real estate in the Albuquerque area or New Mexico, Tracy, how do they reach you?
Give us a ring, 448-8888 in the 505, of course. So 505-448-8888, or get online, welcomehomeabq.com, and we'd be happy to help you.
Take care, everybody.